Brothers and sisters, it is December 10th, 2020, and I'm here with Holly. Say hello.
Hi, y'all.
Anyhow, what we have to talk about today, what I would really like to talk about is abortions, and should the woman have the right to abort, and so on and so on, so forth and so forth. This is based on opinion. I want to add to that, but in the eyes, in the way a woman feels, I'm curious, Holly, how is it that you feel about abortions?
Well, I believe that
Slow down.
abortion, I've never heard of a case of an abortion when
Slow
two
down.
people were actually married. I've only heard of abortions of girls that were dating a guy and they got pregnant and then they wanted to abort it because I've heard one case that the guy didn't want to marry her. So what I'm saying is,
you can look out there.
Abortion has everything to do with marriage. I think if
How do you
someone's
mean?
married, why
Slow
would
down,
they abort
slow
the
down,
child?
back up. What does abortion have to do with marriage? What if the person getting married didn't want to have an abortion or didn't want to have a child, so they aborted it? And I'm playing devil's advocate, and I'll tell you in the end how I feel about abortion.
I think it all comes down to education, and all these kids need to know their resources, their free housing, if they qualify, if they can ever get free housing, or the sources to take care of a child if they had one.
Resources. I absolutely agree with every word you just said. People need to know the resources, but people are not taught resources. Now, I had a good friend of mine say that use your resources. Let's use our resources. And I thought about it. I'm thinking, well, what resources do I have? And I was in a predicament. I was in a real bad predicament. I wasn't arrested or anything. I wasn't close to being arrested. It was just not a good predicament. Let's just say the car was out of gas and this, that, and the other. So we use our resources. So what are resources? Holly, how would you define a resource?
A resource is anything that you can grasp. If you're in jail, you might as well be there because you can't grasp the resources.
Okay.
You can't
Holly,
go to a bank and ask
down.
for money. You can't
Slow down.
go to anyone and ask for money or help.
What do you? Okay,
all.
so if that's the case, and that's not the case for a lot of people. So let's say the case is somebody has to go to jail and they don't have the resources or the funds to get out of jail. How do you mean, what resources in jail would they be able to use? And this is just an example.
I think a bail bondsman, but even still you need bail, so that's why I'm pretty sure that people can be stuck in jail for the rest of their lives. And I had a boyfriend in college and his dad was in prison for the rest of his life.
Okay, I don't know what
And his
that
mom
really
died.
has to do with anything.
Like, if no one's there to bail you out, if no one cares,
There you
then
are.
there's
Now
no
you hit
way
the
to
right
get out,
subject.
for all I know.
Alright, so it's not just about abortion. This is other things. So today, what was it that you heard that woman said?
I heard her on the phone, and she said, "You're only in there for 90 days. There is no evidence."
So, do you know what bail is actually made for?
What?
No, do you? Obviously not, if you said
No,
what.
I don't.
So bail was made for an individual to come back to court. Okay? Now bail is something else. Think about what bail is. They offered you, okay, and I'm not saying, in this county, I don't think bail is so bad, and I live in Palm Beach County, but bail it's meant for everybody, but specifically for poor people as an incentive to come back to court. You don't come out to court. That's the reason why they have bounty hunters. That's the reason why we have bounty hunters. Because if you jump bail, which means you don't come to court, your ass is going to be caught by a bounty hunter if you do get caught. And you will get caught eventually. But how do you feel about people being stuck in jail when there's little to no evidence and they don't have the resources to bond out?
I feel like this is all about a lack of education to the resources that could be available or should be available. If not, then someone in power should make it available to have free housing, to have free food, to have, like, even without children, if you're 29 and you're a female,
okay, well,
by then you should have free housing by then.
This sounds like socialism.
Well, you can't sit around homeless or they're just going to arrest you just for being homeless.
Well, that's not true, but I understand what you're saying. But this is what it comes down to. And I'm glad that you brought that up, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I read last night that a majority of people with mental illness, specifically schizophrenia, are homeless.
That's what my uncle, who's the state representative to Texas, he says. I asked him why, while I was in college, I asked him, why are all these people homeless? And he says because they have mental disabilities.
So, well, that's been verified, literally been verified. But how does that make you feel? Like, what do you think would be the resources, or shall I say, the solution for the mentally ill? And I was actually thinking about that today. But I want to know, how would you, like, what would you recommend? Row homes, like a ghetto, free housing?
My recommendation is people with a shorter lifespan, people who are going to die. Those are the people that take the prison sentence. Those are the people that, like, I don't know if you can live in a psych ward for the rest of your life, but the people with the short lifespan, they might opt for prison or a mental institution because there's no resources for them to live on their own in a house.
Well,
because
hospice.
If you can't get those resources yourself, then how is anyone gonna do it for you? Then you're either in a mental institution, or you're in jail, or you're dating someone really rich. But if you can get those resources on yourself, you can be self-sufficient. Where we borrowed all these money from the Pilgrims, right?
No. What are you talking about?
I mean, every time we go to a bank and we ask for a loan or a credit card, we're asking the Pilgrims for some money, right?
No, we're not. No. The federal, you're talking about federal banks now, which have nothing to do with Americans or America. If you go to a bank for a loan, a bank is owned by a foreign agency. Banks are not from the Pilgrims, first of all. Second of all, banks are not on the gold standard thanks to Ronald Reagan in 1971 when he took it off the gold standard. It became a fiat currency. So, when you get a loan from a bank, the interest right now is way up because they're printing $150 billion a day. It's ridiculous. Where do you think $150 billion go? And then there's a lot of times where money goes missing. And or all the times that people they file for taxes, but they don't even give a fuck about their taxes. So, back to what you said, homeless people. It breaks my heart, but it seems like nobody gives a fuck about them. How do you feel about it?
I had this one guy take me in for $600 a month. He was naked on the couch every single day I was there.
That's disgusting.
And it was gross and disgusting, and I was paying him to stay there, so I paid for a hotel one day, and my life got,
so your life was out of control.
It's hard to find not only bad roommates, but you have to be able to have your own house to keep all these predators away. And that's why we're talking about abortion, because women can go into any home, get raped, get pregnant, and then all of a sudden they have a kid, and it might not even be with the most attractive guy that they've ever thought of.
You said raped.
Yeah.
People don't just rape anybody for any reason, Holly. People do it because they're fucking crazy. I don't even know what the word is for a rapist, because rape is such a big deal to me. It's disgusting. Have you been raped?
I've taken a class on rape, and I know everything about rape, and I actually...
This is some good information. You've told me this before. I think they should reveal it.
Okay, well, my great-grandparents owned a whorehouse, okay? And I've heard that it's successful to be a pimp, because when you own whores, then you get paid for all of the sex that goes into the whorehouse, right? So if the pimps make all the money, I wish I knew any other jobs to explain to you, but I didn't really, I don't even know about what other jobs there are, besides
Beyond
like,
what?
besides like being a whore and not getting paid, or being a pimp and getting paid for all the sex, or being a drug dealer, or so that's why I go to CVS or Walgreens, and
Okay.
and
So
like,
let me ask you this.
I just don't know like where money comes from. You say you say it comes from the bank, and then you don't
does.
need to go and be a whore in a whorehouse to have a place to live.
Well, I said it comes from the bank. I never said it goes right to your face. It's called face value. What are you worth? You got to know your self-worth. A lot of people don't know your self-worth. So when you're talking about a whore, you're talking about a mentally ill person.
I'm talking about education, that no one knows about these resources. Our children,
you keep saying resources.
our children's children don't know about these resources.
But what resources
For
are you
free
speaking of?
housing, for free housing, and for food,
Agreed.
clothes, and
What?
like, it doesn't have to be a drug war and a drug gang scene.
But what do you think? Well, you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up. Now, you ever think... Now, brothers and sisters, I want you to think about this. What she just spoke of, it doesn't need to be a drug war nor a gang scene. But why do you think people click up? It's money. They say money is the root of all evil. I don't agree with that. I said that I believe that the lust for money can be the root of all evil. Now, it depends on the values of the person. How does that person perceive money? What's he going to do with it? Now, Jeffrey Epstein, we all know that guy. I actually had a mock trial with that, but I'm still not going to speak about it until the time comes. What is a mock trial? Meaning, I went to a fake trial with Jeffrey Epstein, and, well, it was rehearsed, but we didn't know that the lawyer just so happened to be the person suing Jeffrey Epstein for slander. And I'm not going to get too far into that, but think about what I'm saying here. So we have Pizzagate, okay? And child stars. When I mean child stars, I mean children that are, for example, the Olsen twins, right? We all thought a long time ago it was just one twin, right? But we found out it was two twins.
My grandma was a twin, and I know that they're supposed to skip generations. We don't have anyone in our second generation that had twins. They run in your
Alright.
family too?
Hell yeah, they do.
Where do your twins come from?
What side of the family?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know?
No. What do you think about? Okay, so back to abortion. Let's talk about abortion for a second. Do you believe that it's? What would a feminist say about abortion?
A feminist would say that yes, we can get the ring, we can get married, we don't even have to have sex before we're married. We can get married and then have sex.
Are you a feminist?
I'm not a feminist.
Okay, in the words of your sister, what would she say? And that's not what I was asking. But what would she say about abortion?
She would say go ahead and do it, and she is a feminist.
Alright. Well, so, in my opinion, probably feminists believe that they have a right to their own body. Not the government's rights to it. But you don't believe in abortion.
Well, I believe if someone was raped and
That was actually what I was just thinking. That's funny. Interesting.
I know people who have been raped and had children, or the children. That's why how the children was born. Yeah, I don't want to get into personal details, but I know that it happens, and I that's why I feel like it's education that people should have their own housing.
Yeah, but what you think that everybody deserves free housing?
Everyone who's self-sufficient enough to get the resources to get, and it shouldn't be some trick. It shouldn't be so tricky. It shouldn't be causing rape, causing unwanted children, and causing abortion. No, it should be, people should be educated that it's an easy thing, that if you need a house, you can get a house to stay.
Okay, but that's not what I'm asking you. That wasn't the question.
What if someone needed a house and they didn't want to live in jail or a mental institution, so they go and they live with some really ugly guy, which I did, okay, and he threatened to rape me. So I couldn't go into my house, my room that I paid for, because I couldn't afford a lock, and because that's not even a safe thing anyways. A lock isn't necessarily that safe.
Yes. Holly, listen, I want to tell you, I consider myself a therapist. Do you believe that getting this off your chest, and for other young women to know, do you think that this is an important, I would call it a podcast, but it's also somewhat of an interview? What would you say to the young women?
I would say to the older women and to the curriculars, they're trying to make new schools. Obviously, people haven't been going to school. They've been homeschooled. They don't go.
Homeschool?
You need to have in the curriculum how women can get housing for free when they've left their parents' house, maybe even probably right now, then.
You believe
even
everything.
Before that, get free housing for themselves, and so that they can try to get a job, a career, a family, try to do something productive.
Okay, so if that's the case, why would you vote for Donald Trump?
Voting is done in private, and I think that no matter what, everyone knows that you don't always know who you voted for.
How so?
If you don't pay attention to the news, if you don't have access to television, if you don't, not on that level.
We don't. When was the last time you watched television? Be honest. Think about it.
Like television, like live stream, or like what's
like the news,
one?
Anything.
News?
Television. When was the last time you watched
a TV? An iPhone.
No, I'm saying. Wait. I'm not saying on your. I'm not saying on your iPhone. I'm saying. When was the last time you saw anything on the television?
On the television?
Look around. Do you see a TV around here? Do you see a TV around here?
No, I don't.
When was the last time you saw anything on TV? You can't remember. So, that's not the point. Actually, that is kind of the point. You're cut off from TV. Do you feel that you're cut off from important news?
All news is relevant to us, so all news is important.
Pardon me?
All news is relevant to us, so all news is important.
Okay, you say news, but what kind of news are you talking about? Like Fox News?
CBS.
What about RT? What about RT news?
RT?
Yeah, you know anything about the RT? RT news? Do you know anything about it?
No.
It's called Russian television.
Russian television.
It's a news channel.
Oh, yeah.
You know about it. You just didn't know it was Russian.
I know.
Now you know, right? Interesting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So do you believe in everything that you see on TV?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Well, you can't believe anything you hear, only half of what you see. So yeah, I believe half of what I see on TV.
And nothing of what you hear.
Nothing of what I hear.
Okay.
Why would I?
Well, no, I think it's interesting that you say that, but I think you are confused, Ollie. It's just my opinion. And you know, I think causes the confusion. The media. Think about it. You sound so confused right now. With the one question I asked you. I asked you when was the last time you saw TV. You said my iPhone. Well, your iPhone is in the television. Vision. Tells lies to your vision. Now, brothers and sisters, with that said, I'm going to tell you what I think about abortion. I don't totally agree with abortion, but I do believe in women's rights. And I do believe a woman has a right to her body, because it's her body. So, I'm going to ask you this one question before I close it, Holly. What if you were raped and you were impregnated? I see the wheels turning.
I would use my resources, all of the TVs and all my resources to find out the right solution, because there's so many
TVs. Now, since when did television bring you resources?
Well,
tell me.
I think I would just use God as a resource, because
maybe the church. I think that would be a good start.
Well, I think all right. This is the thing I want to say. Okay.
And resources are so important.
All right. I'm telling you guys a secret that I'm sure James doesn't want me to tell you, but I'm going to tell it to you anyways, okay? All of James...
My name's not James.
Oh, it's sperm and fallopian tube guy, okay? Whatever. So he says all of his dreams come true.
Most. I never said that.
He keeps telling me all his dreams come true.
I say most
Okay,
of them.
so that got me thinking a little bit. Well, my dreams aren't that bad, right? But what are my nightmares? And then I thought about it, and I was like, I guess my nightmares aren't really that bad. My thoughts go way worse than what my nightmares are. So, that's a wrap.
No, it's not a wrap. That is a very, very close look into somebody that has an ill mind. Shout out to a good rapper that by the name of you're on my tongue, brother. What's your name? whatever, Ill Minds. If you haven't looked it up, check out oh my god, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it's not coming out, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Brother and sister, I'm gonna close it with this and how I feel about abortion. I believe it's up to women to make that decision. Alright, I don't think that men should be able to make a decision for a woman, especially when it comes to abortion. Now, you're hearing from an ill-minded individual, not me. No offense, Holly. You know you're ill-minded.
I agree.
What'd you say?
I agree.
Okay, yeah, so there you go. The ill mind from Holly. And this is King Anubis now cutting off and shutting down this podcast, which has me really thinking about things. So I want to let you know, stay blessed, keep your head up, and I just got a really good glimpse of what socialism really means in the eyes of an ill individual, ill-minded. Hobson, by the way. I love you, brother. I hope everything is good with Hobson. Check out Hobson Ill Mind, number 5. Probably the best song, one of the best songs out there. With that said, I want to close this and let you know peace, love, and unity is what I stand for. And take care. Peace be with you and also with you.